Rick Wilson is a former Republican strategist. He has written an anti-Trump book. He has essentially left the Republican Party. And, you know, he's a regular contributor on MSNBC. And he had some really interesting things to say about Tucker Carlson that I think are you know, worth sharing with you. This Tucker turns 54 next month. He's a young guy. He would be, you know, kind of in the category of John Kennedy's age. And Rick Wilson says, I wouldn't count on the Tucker Carlson White Power Hour showing up on The Blaze or the Daily Wire anytime soon. Why? Because almost certainly Tucker Carlson has a huge non-compete agreement written into his contract with Fox so-called News. Which means, you know, if this is the case, and we don't know yet for sure, but it's common, it's normal over there. What that means is that, you know, Tucker's going to be looking for a job. Yesterday we were talking about this, and I was speculating, you know, where's he going to go? What's he going to do? And I told you, you know, that Louise was saying to me, he's going to run for president. And I was saying, nah, no way. Well, Rick Wilson agrees with my wife. He says he's rich enough. He'd instantly have an online fundraising juggernaut second only to Trump and perhaps surpassing him. He's polarizing. He's terrible. He's utterly amoral. In short, better than Ron DeSantis for the base. Rick Wilson goes on to say, I'd argue he's the only Republican who presents a material danger to Donald Trump in a primary. You know, keep in mind that Donald Trump became president not because of any political background. I mean, you know, he had been a lifelong Democrat. In fact, he only became a Republican in the year before he ran for the presidential, in the Republican presidential primary. It wasn't politics that got Trump into, well, ultimately into the White House. It was celebrity. He, you know, NBC had taught him how to do television. He himself had, through a lifetime, had learned how to manipulate media. A very media savvy guy. And NBC created this showcase for Donald Trump. They turned him into a celebrity by portraying him as an extraordinarily successful businessman. In fact, he's a massively failed businessman in most regards. I mean, you know, he's had either 5 or 6 bankruptcies. He stole hundreds of millions of dollars from his siblings and his relatives, at least according to allegations from his niece and others in his family. His father had to bail out his casino, for God's sake, walking in and buying, you know, a whole pile of chips. I think it was $1 million worth of chips. I'd have to go back and look at the amount. And then just leaving the chips there as you know, just a way of basically laundering money into Trump's casinos. Who loses money on casinos? Donald Trump. You know, his Trump steaks failed, his Trump wine failed, his Trump water failed, his Trump the board game failed, his Trump University not only failed, but he was prosecuted for fraud and convicted and had to pay a $25 million restitution. About the only thing that Donald Trump has ever been successful at are his real estate deals. And that's in large part because real estate is so unregulated in the United States that it's the principal way that Russian oligarchs launder their money. And apparently a lot of it through Donald Trump's properties. So, you know, Trump has been running a money laundering machine for years. He's been apparently successful at that. But, you know, it was celebrity that got Trump into the White House. Well, who has more celebrity on the right now than Tucker Carlson? I mean, he's more famous than Ron DeSantis. He's more in fact, Ron DeSantis premised his run for the White House on being able to get Tucker Carlson's endorsement. Now, he ultimately didn't get it, but, or maybe, I mean, I'm not sure that Tucker Carlson has actually endorsed anybody so far. If you know, let me know. I'm not a regular Tucker Carlson viewer. But But the bottom line is, for Republicans, they don't care what your policy positions are, with any kind of level of nuance or concern. They just want to know that you basically, hate people of color and Jews and immigrants, and that you support the possibility of a racial war, that you think, white Americans should be arming up, that you support tax cuts for billionaires. That gets you the support of the billionaire class. And Tucker Carlson is, certainly a multi-millionaire. And maybe more, I don't know. He's the heir to the Swanson frozen food fortune, or an heir to it. So celebrity and money are the things that make you popular in the Republican, on the Republican side. So what do you think? Do you think that there's a real chance that Tucker Carlson could play a serious role? And if so, what would that role be? What kind of impact would a Tucker Carlson candidacy have on this race? Could he beat Joe Biden? Could he beat Donald Trump in the primary, for that matter? I mean, there's a lot of questions here. Not any simple answers. But as Rick Wilson says, celebrity, money, mental acuity, cynicism, pro-Putin isolationism, and an overt threat of authoritarianism are pretty strong secret sauce for the MAGA base. Celebrity got Trump the White House. It could certainly do the same for Tucker. Interesting. Also, I'm curious your thoughts on President Biden running and how he can best do that. It's 15 minutes past the hour.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
I rant on the Supreme Court on the other side of this break. Stay tuned.